50 or 15?
50% down, and 50% due FOB Shanghai. So when it comes off of the production line at Shanghai and is ready to ship, I need the other 50% down.
And if they're leasing, then what?
If they're leasing, the leasing company will take care of all that. They'll give us the down, and then upon manufacturing completion, they'll then pay for the.
But they don't have a 50% down payment when they're leasing.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't.
No, the leasing company.
Yeah, you're confusing them. That's what he's asking.
Okay.
All he cares about is his customers. So look, if they say they want a leasing option,
Yes.
okay,
Then the leasing.
we put them with the leasing company,
Okay.
and then they owe probably their first month and a security deposit for whatever their lease
Yeah.
rate is. Let's say
Sorry
it's
about that.
$350 a month. They're going to owe $700 to the leasing company, and then that's all you care about with your customer. We handle the back end. We handle the leasing company. We handle deposits. None of that concerns you or your customer. It will take a standard leasing by the time they submit their leasing application and they get all their paperwork together and they have leasings, probably about 10 days though.
Okay.
So if they say we want to lease them, it's going to take 10 days for the leasing company to put it all together, put the finances together, because the leasing company, while they're doing their paperwork, is putting all the finances together to pay us and to pay for the equipment. But that's not for they don't care about that.
Okay. And did I understand that they own it after 2 years? Is that
5 to 7 years.
5 to 7 years.
I've got them up to 7 years, and up to $30,000 a container. They'll be approved for. That's what we can lease up to.
T's and C's, customer needs to see those, have those in hand.
Did you already go over how long from when they order to when they can expect the product?
Not yet. And then you'll get this in there, which is an information sheet. You can fill this out electronically, fill out as much as you possibly can. What I really, really, truly need is the name of the company, the main contact number, who you're dealing with, so I can then get a hold of them and get the rest of all of this stuff together, so I have all of this information of where we're gonna ship it to, what colors they want them, if they want any special, logos on them. If they need anything out of the ordinary, if they want GPS, if they want all that stuff, then I'll take care of all of that and get all that together.
If I recall correctly, is what you said, maybe 25, $30 per unit if they want GPS. Is that?
Well, let me get all the pricing together before we start quoting it.
Okay.
But it's not an astronomical. It's a monthly fee.
Okay.
Okay. Very important. I get this filled out. This is like the big piece there.
And there's two different. Just to go back to that, there's two different tracking. Okay, there is satellite tracking, and then there's like the like what your GPS. They're different. I think GPS and satellite are the different ones. They might be the same, but there's one that works kind of like off of cell towers and stuff like that.
Okay.
If they just want that, like they're trucking and training, then that's less. If they need the satellite to where it's overseas, like you're not going to get pings off towers overseas, then that's a different price.
That's GPS.
Okay.
So there's not a standard, GPS is not a standard feature.
No, it's not standard. It's an option. It's an option. Okay. So I'll go through all that.
Okay.
Then we don't quote anything less than 90 days
Delivery.
for delivery. From the time that we sign the contract and get the deposit, it'll take about 24 to 48 hours to finish our paperwork on our side, to get all of the information.
Not 90 days. 60 days is our highest.
60 days?
60 days are highest. So anything we quote from them, we just got a quote back. It was 2 months. It was 2 months.
Okay.
60 days. So anything we order from them, we can have done in 60 days. Smaller orders will be even quicker because they already have all the steel procured there. If it's a big order, the max that they will give us is 30 days on procuring all of the steel, and then they can crank out. They can crank out 100 of these in a day, 2 days, and then to get to LA is 2 weeks. So it also depends on where they want to deliver to.
Whether it's a port or not.
Yeah, if they want it to Houston, it's like 3 weeks or 4 weeks. They want it to LA or West Coast, it's 2 weeks. They want it to the East Coast, then I mean that's. But if
20
you're quoting, you can quote 60 days to LA, you know, and then like I said, if they want it somewhere else, we'll go night. I mean, everybody understands. And if they want it Port of Shanghai, then you can quote 45 days all day long. And they pick it up with their logistics team, or they load it up in Vietnam or India, or they might not want it to come to the U.S. So if you want to say FOB Shanghai 45 days, you can quote it all day long. We'll have it done. And nobody gets a turnaround like that. You know, at the end of the day, when they were wanting to buy rail cars, they'd be on a 15-month wait just to buy a rail car.
Wow.
So, you know, to get something delivered in 45 days is...
And so they're totally customizable though, as far as like the outer appearance.
Yeah, paint,
Color,
logo, everything.
graphics, logo,
It's all done at the
whatever.
end.
Right. So they'll have to provide us the graphics and give us a paint code number that they want to use.
Yeah,
Included in the price. That's included
that's
in the
included
price.
in the price.
Okay.
That's included in the price. All right.
Eric has some questions. The leasing program, if you could elaborate on it.
Sure. So, sorry about that. So the leasing company that we use has already underwritten and already gone through the appraisal process with our equipment, like I said. So they're approved, our equipment's approved up to $30,000. That's what they're willing to lease. 5 to 7 years, kind of depends on the customer, but, you know, they have to still qualify. But it's not like bank qualification, it's leasing qualification, which is a big difference because the leasing company holds all the asset, the leasing company owns the container until the lease is paid off.
Okay.
It'll be a 5 or 7 year, and at the end of that time, they pay fair market value and they own it, or there's a lease option where they can pay like $1 and they own it. But it is a lease to own. It is not, we're just renting these out for a year or 2 years and then they take them back. It is a leasing company.
Well, there's a huge difference between fair market value and $1. So what's the
So,
determining factor?
and it depends. They'll send you a lease model, and they will say, okay, if you want to buy it at $1, it's $350. If you want fair market value, it's $300 a month. They're going to give that to you, and they're going to tell you what the fair market value
Depending
is.
upon what they've been paying all those years, is what you're saying. Okay.
That's the same way we do. That's how we lease out our copiers and stuff. It's the same thing.
Same thing. It's very standard.
Okay.
Most people will opt for the $1 buyout.
So that's kind of. I mean, I don't know what else to say about the leasing.
And
program.
and is what per
10-day
month? Is
approval.
what per month? How much per month for the
Depends.
lease?
It depends on your sales price.
Okay.
It depends on how many years they want.
Okay.
It depends on their credit.
Okay.
And would depend on how many containers they actually want as well too, right?
Volume, yes. So how many do you want?
Low and high. The
So
lowest would be.
I would say it depends on your sales price. You gotta give me a sales price.
Okay.
What's your lowest sales price?
$25,000 for 100 units.
7 year, 5 year,
7.
315,
Okay. So that would be low, and then if the guy doesn't have the best.
30,000 a month, 5 year, bad credit. You could be at $500.
Okay. All right. That's
Five-
3 to
you could be at
500.
550.
Okay. All right.
So when you're talking to your customer about a lease, you know, it's like when you're buying a car, you know, you really want to get a cool car, and you look at the price of the car and you say, well, shit, that's way out of my world, and then you say, okay, well, how does $465 a month sound? You know, all of a sudden you've taken the price of the unit out of there and you said $465 a month times X amount of units, you know, then it starts to look a little bit more attractive to your customer. So, you know, and that way you eliminate that whole deal and the thing of getting over how much you're going to
They
spend
might
on
be
the unit.
leasing. They might
And
be
also-
leasing regular containers for $300 a month.
Right.
Right.
This seems like the option that the majority of companies are going to.
Right, and in leasing, you can also get the shipping built into that.
Okay.
You get everything built into
I
it.
wouldn't
No?
go there. No.
You check with your leasing
I
company,
did.
23%.
It's gonna depend on the customer. But for them to finance $1 million worth of shipping it might not happen.
Okay.
Just depends on the customer, depends on the sales
Mm-hmm.
price, depends on everything. If you're selling at the max value that they're gonna lease it
Oh,
to.
well, absolutely,
then
yeah.
They're
Then
not gonna add on any of that.
They're not gonna
other
add
stuff.
on.
So don't say that it can be put in there.
Okay.
Because that's a $3,000 or $3,500 a piece. So if you're selling at 30 and you're trying to get a lease price at 33,000,
No,
he's
you're
not gonna do it.
You're not gonna get it.
So I would say it does
Okay.
not include leasing, because you guys wanna
Not
sell at
include
27, 26, 28. So I would say it does not, and we don't even know where it's being sent to, you know, it
Yeah.
could, what Jim said, it could be built, if you sold them for 27,000 and wanted to put the leasing in, we know.
The
we got
shipping
ship-
to the
the
lease.
Shipping, yeah.
We
Then
know
that's
we-
a possibility.
Yeah,
It's
because we know
As
we
long
got
as we
that.
stay under the $30,000
You say under
cap,
30,000, then we can get it
it's
done.
workable.
It's done, it could be done.
It's doable, yes.
So
Okay.
what is shipping from China to LA?
It's all, it
$3,000.
depends, it's $3,000, sometimes. it
Changes
all
by
depends.
season.
Changes by season, changes by volume, changes, I mean, you know, I'm shipping 1s and 2s and 3s right now, and we're just filling up a ship, or we're just spotting a ship. But if we're gonna grab a whole quarter of a ship, all of a sudden they're gonna say, you know, they're gonna compete
Just
for
the
it.
interest about 3,000, give or take. I mean, it'll never be below 2,500, and it can be as high as $4,000, let's say. So yeah,
It's only once somebody buys it, obviously from here in New York, ships to LA, then it goes on the intermodal.
then it goes on the
And then-
rail all the way to them. That's probably the best way. But if time doesn't, if they time it right, it might be cheaper to put it on a ship and just take that time to get it all the way around there. But I don't know. So to get it from Chicago to Houston on the intermodal rail is $700 from Chicago to Houston. It's pretty cheap, you know. So I don't know what it is from LA to New York. We could probably get a price, but let's say it's $1,000 to get it from LA to New York on the intermodal. To ship it from from LA to New York might be 1,000 too. So you might want to just let it stay on there. Just depends. New York's tough. I mean, tough to get to New York from China.
Yeah.
It's like the absolute furthest point. You know?
Okay, also Ron is curious to know whether or not you're only working with one bank.
Leasing company?
It's-
We're looking with a leasing company, not a bank.
You're not working with, so the leasing, so when he mentioned bank, I'm not sure.
He's thinking that it's a leasing company. Our leasing company is a bank. They're not a bank. They're a
Okay,
financial institution, but they're not a bank.
okay,
And yes, we found one, and until they can't fulfill, I mean, they gave us a great quote, they gave us a great offer, I've met with them personally. I don't need options right now.
sure, okay,
Now, your customers can go to their bank and get them financed.
okay,
Or can, if they have leasing, if Eric has leasing companies, he can definitely say, hey, I wanna use my leasing guys. We're not married to somebody, we're not partnering with somebody, we just have an option.
Okay.
So he might say, I know all kinds of guys in leasing, good, bring them on board, let them come out, let them check it out, cause they're gonna be a whole process to vetting us out. They're gonna wanna know the appraised value, they're gonna wanna know what other shipping containers go for. There's nothing else to compare it to, there's not a lot to compare it to. So they're really gonna have to understand before they're willing to put their money out and say, we'll finance this.
Would it be wise for us to just always go with the leasing option right now, or should we just?
So a lot of companies will buy them and they'll finance them through their own bank. You
and
know,
have a lesser payment than.
and have a lesser payment than a lease payment.
Sure, sure.
And you know, and they can maybe refinance them with their own bank after 5 years, or they may get a 10-year loan from a bank. I mean, banks are giving 7-year car loans. You know, they might give a 10-year loan on a piece of equipment. You know, so it just depends on their relationship with their bank. They'll know.
So just kind of like it's just a blatant good idea to throw the buy out there, but if not, like you said, you know,
Right,
leasing.
yeah,
'Cause in my
leasing's a
field,
great
Okay.
It's a huge thing, you know. You're not gonna most people, and even in my field, are not gonna pay $21,000, $16,000 for a copier. You know, even though that's how much they cost, so they
Right.
lease it.
So they lease it, and all of a sudden it's
A leasing option is
$400 a month
Huge
payment.
benefit to
Yeah.
people. So yeah, I'd start
Plus,
with that.
there's a tax advantage to leasing versus
Right,
going to a
exactly.
bank.
And that's
Now
what
we
I'm
do
doing.
have and so we do have another model that we're finalizing right now with the company out of California, and they're the ones we're sending the container to, where they are an actual, let's just call it a rental. They actually own containers and they rent them out to people by the month or on contracts by the years, or if you need it for a spot buy, you can rent this container. That's their core business. So they're not going to take our container on, and so if you had a customer that just wanted to rent it, like for a 3 year or 2 year. Didn't want to get into a 5 or 7, but wanted to rent it for a couple years.